Hello and welcome to the two-man power trip of wrestling. I am your host, JP John Poz. With me today is a very special guest. You may know him as the Baldie. He's an ECW original. He's the king of the streets. He's the Kingpin, former IWA Puerto Rico hardcore champion multiple times. He is, of course, Angel, aka Angel Medina. Welcome to the two-man power trip. How you doing today, sir?
Well, bro, thanks for giving me that great intro. The angel that you're talking about is living a better life than I am, so I better hold up myself to that high standard. Thank you. I appreciate that little opener.
You got to step it up, right? I mean,
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely,
Quite.
Suntan Superman, in all day, every day.
So what's been going on with you? I know you got a lot of podcasts going on. What's going on in your world?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been working on I'm on the Russo's brand. I mean, we've been working with Vince Russo in regards to the MWA podcast network, killing the business, wrestling with tragedy. The Funkin' Kingpin show. With Alan Funk Wee Wee from WCW. So I mean, it's just something that's I wanted to take it to the next level. I can't wrestle forever. My body hurts. So what I wanted to do is just focus using my celebrity status to start doing podcasting
Nice. Sounds good.
and pick up
Now you
chicks.
and yeah, of course. Of course. That's always like the end game, right?
Absolutely.
So what do you like you and Russo? Like you do you go back all the way to like Johnny Rod to school? Like it seems like you and him go back quite a ways.
You know what's funny though? I met Russo when I was 17 years old, and he used to be, not used to be, but he's friends with Big Vito, Vito LaGrasso. And Vito's from Gleason's. And, I trained with Vito, and Vito showed up to Gleason's with Russo and introduced me to him. But it was just a brief, hey, how you doing? How's everything? Oh, good. Hey, nice meeting you. And he went to talk to Johnny. So we did meet each other, but we weren't like, you know, friends or anything. It was just we met at that brief minute. So it's kind of funny how years later, that circle of life, we meet up again. But now I'm 50, gonna be 50. Not that
Yep.
17-year-old kid,
That New York crew. It seems like they always stick together, right? I mean, Vito's on the Russo brand. Obviously, yourself. It just seems like that New York crew kind of sticks together.
Yeah, man, absolutely, man. I mean, Gleason's is a strong family. We all stick together. We always find each other, and it's just like we never miss a beat. And when we get together, it's just laughs and just riots and stuff like that. I never hold myself as I don't have an ego. I never had. I don't believe in my own hype. I just kind of like I'm Angel, always been Angel, and I just live a normal life. I don't use my celebrity status to like, oh, who are you talking to? It's
Oh yeah.
Kingpin, you know.
So with Gleason's and with Johnny Rod's, how do you get in there? Is that just something like, oh, I heard about Johnny Rod's train? Like, how did you actually originally get in?
Oh man, that's real easy. When I was a kid, I was going to junior high school. I wasn't into wrestling at the time. I had a friend of mine named Peter. He had a Wrestling Illustrated magazine, and he was like a huge wrestling fan. So he had it like the magazine rolled up in his hand, had it in his back pocket. So of course I'm like, yo, dude, what the hell is that in your back pocket? And he go, oh, it's my wrestling magazine. And what is it? And he opened it up, and it showed on the cover like the Four Horsemen. And he's like, I said, who's that? And he's like, oh man, you don't know who the Four Horsemen are? Oh, dude, he lent it to me. I started reading it. He goes, you know what? The next week is Clash of Champions, Ric Flair versus Sting. You got to check it out. And I'm like, all right. It was on TBS anyway. It was free. So I watched it, and I was like, and right there, hooked. So then I wanted to be a wrestler. I wanted to play wrestler technically. So I looked for schools, and I mean, I went to the dungeon. I reached out to them, Adrian Street in Florida. I was getting pamphlets from before the internet. It was just pamphlets in the mail, and it was like, man, this is too far. I'm not going to go to Canada and go to the Bret Hart School up there. I just can't afford it. I'm not going to go to Florida. So I kind of like, well, my dream is over. So one day on it was called Good Day New York. It was on Fox, I think it was. And they had a segment where one of the reporters was doing an interview with Johnny Rods, and I caught the tail end of it. And he was just watching guys, wrestling, doing the moves. Of course, they take the reporter. This is how you do a slam, and then at the end, it was Johnny just hip tossing people. Like the end thing when they do it in the news. So then right there, I was like, holy crap, it's in Brooklyn. I'm just gonna go over there, and went over there, spoke to Johnny, and he put me on some type of payment plan. Because I was a kid from the streets, broke, not really making any money. So he put me on some type of payment plan. I just gave him maybe $150, $200, and then he goes, just keep paying me until you pay it off and stuff. And then me and Vito, this is before Russo ever, the situation, but me and Vito got at it, because I didn't take wrestling serious, and the guys are like Damien Demento, Big Sweet Williams, known as Hugh Morris, Bill DeMott was there. I can't remember the rest, but and Vito, and they just beat the brakes out of me. They just beat me up, and because I didn't respect the business, so I quit for a couple of weeks, maybe a month or so, and then I came back, and then I really took it serious and focused on my craft.
So this was after the Dudley Boys was there and Taz and Dreamer. I'm guessing it's probably a few years after that, or
no, Taz and Dreamer left. I never met them, but Devon was when I came back. Devon came back at that time, and Devon at the time he had a regular job, like everybody else, and me and him used to take the train together, the F train in Brooklyn, and he used to get off to go to New Rochelle because that's where he was originally from. So we used to just, we were good friends, and then one day Paul was looking for a member of the Dudley Boys, a Black Dudley. That's what Johnny told me. Oh, they're looking for a Black Dudley. And they went to a guy named Adrian Street first. And he was a big, muscular black dude. And he was like, nah, I ain't doing it because he was afraid of ECW. So then, of course, he spoke to Devon. And Devon's like, yeah, I'll do it. And he went, and the rest is history. So after that, Devon left the school. But, I kind of kept in contact with him after that.
So as you're going through the school, you and Vito starting to get along a bit better?
We didn't, it's funny though. Me and Vito didn't get along until we were wrestling for a guy named Tommy Jeanette. He used to do carnival shows in upstate New York. So we used to do loops up there and all these carnival shows. So like I said, I'm not gonna lie, I just didn't like Vito. We didn't get along. We just butted heads. I'm not gonna lie. I just thought he was like, this guy's a jerk. He just has an ego. He don't care a fuck about nobody. So then I used to drive with this guy named Kid USA. And the funny thing is my phone rings, ring, and we're driving up to the next show, the first show for Tommy Jeanette. And he goes, hey, brother, it's me, Vito. And it was like one of those things like I broke the fourth wall, like, the hell? Yeah. Why's he calling me? We're not friends. But it's just I was more in shock that he's calling me. And I didn't even speak. He was like, hey, man, I'm up here at the hotel. When you guys going to show up? It was in Salamanca, New York. I remember like it was yesterday. He goes, hey, I'm in room. I don't remember the room, but let's say it was 215. I'm in room 215. When you come into the hotel and check in, come see me. Okay. Click. And I'm like, and then I turned to Kid USA like with a snap of the neck, like a Slim Jim commercial. I was like, dude, that was freaking Vito. And he goes, Vito? Are you serious? I said, yeah. He goes, he wants me to come see him to come to his room when we get to town. I think they're gonna have like a pillow party for me, blanket party. As soon as I walk through the door, they'll beat me with bars of soap and socks.
Yeah.
So, but as soon as I walked in the door, Vito's, hey brother, how's everything? And I'm just still kind of like, what the? Are you serious? And then, but after that first time at Salamanca, then we just started traveling the loop, and it was just us three, Vito and stuff. And then I just got to know him better, and I realized he wasn't being malicious, he wasn't being disrespectful to me. He wanted me to respect the business and take it seriously, and it was tough love, and he wanted me to be the best I can be. So that's when, we like clicked. Yeah, Vito was Vito, joking around, being a Vito, but then I understood who he was and how he thought. And I'm like, oh, it's just Vito. That's how he is.
So how was Johnny Roz? Is he tough? Is he one of those trainers that almost, he beats you up, not physically, but like he kicks your ass a bit. He's tough on you. Is he one of those old school, just wants to make sure you're exhausted when he's training type guy?
Johnny never beat us, just to say, Johnny never beat us up. Yeah, he was old school, grind you to the ground, but there was a lesson behind each thing he did. He never did anything maliciously to hurt you. Like, for example, if you were wrestling and he slammed you on the floor, and the way you got up and you had your fingers, like this on the mat, he'll step on it, but not to break. He'll just say, see this right here? I could break your fingers because you don't have your hands flat. So you got to be careful. or when he took you to the ropes and you extended your knee straight, and he'll just like literally just put enough pressure on your kneecap and just tweak it a little bit to go, see this right here? If the guy's pushing you to ropes, you want to make sure both knees are bent, because if you extend your knee, hyperextend your leg that way, and the guy is stupid and he falls, he's going to hyperextend your knee, break your leg, tear your meniscus. So you always want to keep your knees bent. So right here, and you'll feel that thing on your knee, like right there, that could break. So you got to be careful. So he gives you that little, but nothing to hurt you, just to give you awareness. And Johnny was a very, very attentive trainer. I mean, he still trains to this day, but it's like, I hate saying this, but the more benefit you got from Johnny was back then, because he was in the ring 150%. I mean, the guy was like a beast, and he stayed there for like 2-3 hours wrestling guys 20 minutes a piece without even breaking a sweat. So yeah, people are still getting the knowledge, but of course he's older and he can't do the same things he used to do. So I guess you just miss out a little bit of the Johnny Rod's skill, if you say. But he'll never hurt you. He'll school you.
So did you get familiar, since you weren't like a big fan? Did you get familiar with him and his role, and being a big time star? Obviously, more of like an enhancement guy, but a very key cog in the wheel. He was always the guy that they would make wrestle, like a new guy that would come in, and he'd wrestle at MSG. He was kind of a big part of what they were doing up there for a long time. Did you become familiar with him and his career?
Yeah, I used to joke with Johnny. I say, "Hey, Johnny, when you used to get Vince McMahon coffee, did he like it with screaming sugar or did he like it black?" Fuck you! Get in the ring and he'll stretch me. But Johnny, I mean, yeah, I didn't know Johnny Rods, of course, at the time. But as I, started learning the craft and getting better at understanding and doing my homework and doing my due diligence of learning the business, yeah, I was like, my God, Johnny was a soldier. Johnny was a ring general. Basically, if you could get past Johnny Rods, you were in. And he was the test, like to see your attitude, see if you was respectful, see if you did what you were told. And if you didn't get past Johnny Rods' approval, you didn't get in. And everybody was, I can't say everybody was scared of him, but everybody respected him. From Ted DiBiase to, even Andre the Giant, Johnny was a shooter. He was an old school hooker, and you didn't want to mess with him. The guy would snap your leg with a blink of an eye,
With him too, like in that period with those guys, it's like there was no quote unquote enhancement guys. They were all carpenters. They all knew their role. So I'm sure he would get like really mad if somebody said like, "Oh yeah, you jobbed a lot back then," or something. I'm sure he would get very, very furious at that, because all those guys, even Bruno, would say like, "That's not true. Those guys are not. We're all equal basically at that point in WWF days."
Oh yeah, absolutely. Nobody would have dare like, "Hey, you're besides the fans, but yeah, get in the ring. Let me see,
Right.
just step in the ring, see what you can do." And I'll stretch you. Johnny was he used to stretch us. And but that's the key thing. There's a core group of Gleasons that are just, because of Johnny's tutelage and in-ring training, that we became like the elite of Gleason's gym. And again, I'm not knocking the guys now. It's just different. It's just, without Johnny being in the ring, it's just a little bit different. And it's just, I'm thankful that he was in the ring with me. And like I said, you got the Tazzes, you got the Dreamers, the Big Sweet Williams, Damien Demento. These were monsters. Devon, Vito was like a machine. The guy was just a cardio machine. Even when I was I was into my cardio and I still couldn't keep up with him. That's how good his cardio was. That's just like, no matter how many times I rode a bike, jump rope, he was always a step ahead of me in this cardio. The guy was a beast.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
With you in that school, where do you go after that? Like, you quote unquote graduate and you kind of move on. You're able to go. Did you go right to the indie scene? Like, where do you go after you finish up with Johnny Rods?
Well, technically, the world is yours. There was no such thing as graduating, because you were always a part of the school. Johnny's always says, once you pay your fee, you're Gleason's for life. The only thing you have to pay is Bruce at the door, because it was Gleason's gym and you had to pay the dues at the door. Back in the days, it was like, I think it was $25, $30 for a membership. Now it's like $100 to walk into Gleason's gym. And which I will not do now because that's too much money. But yeah, once you finish, you still go back to Gleason's and train. But Johnny kind of held you back a little bit, just because he didn't want you to fall into that role oh, I'm a wrestler running around the indies and just being garbage. He let you select your where you wanted to go. Me, it was because of Devon that I got into ECW. Yeah, I did my shows. I did my local shows at the time. It's the Spanish Angel at the time. That's what I did. And yeah, I wrestled the indies, but I always went back to Gleason's to continue my training. And then eventually, one of the guys was going to the ECW arena. His name was Jabba Shabibi, and the only reason it just happened by accident. This is just an accident. It's not like something they called me or something and said, "Hey, we want you to come down." It was just because he needed a ride. That is the God honest truth. We're in the ring
Wow.
hanging out, and I said, "Hey, what are you doing?" Let's say it was Monday. Let's say it was today, and I said, "Hey, what are you doing this week?" And he goes, "Oh, nothing really. Oh yeah, you know what? Saturday, I got to go down to Philly. Philly for what? Well, Devon is having me come down to train as a referee. So every weekend I've been going to Philadelphia." Well, good, man. Good for you. I'm happy for you. Absolutely. Awesome. Then it was like Thursday, like some Thursday. And I said, man, dude, it's almost Saturday, man. Are you ready to go down to Philly? Bro, man, shit, man. I don't know. I don't think I'll be able to go because I'm having car issues. So I don't think I'll be able to make it this week. Dude, why? Because it's just my car is not functional. I can't do it. I said, hey, you know what? I'd be happy to drive you. Just ask Devon, and if it's okay with him, I'll come down. I'll drive you down there. So he called Devon, and Devon told him, he goes, yeah, that's fine. Just tell Angel to bring his bag. Because wrestler, you always bring your bag to the show. No matter if you're not on the show, you bring your bag. So I went in, I got my bag. Devon told me to get dressed, get in the ring with Nova, Guido, Tracy Smothers, Chetty, everybody was in the ring. And he goes, yeah, just work out with him. Go and work out with him. And then like I said, I remember like yesterday, Tracy Smothers goes, hey, you kid, why don't you have a match with Guido? Give me like 6 minutes. And boom, 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 we're just back and forth, hip toss, backdrop, arm drag, elbow, just doing all the simple things, but just solid. And boom, hey, that's good. He pat me on the back. Good work, kid. Boom, that I was done. As soon as I got out of the ring, I went through the curtain. And for some real reason, Paul was watching me, not because he was watching me visually. It's just that he looked out and he saw it and he was like, So when I came through the curtain, he was talking to Sabu and Rob Van Dam. And as he's talking to him about whatever, a match or something that they were coming up with, he looked up and he goes, hey, kid, come here real quick. And he stopped what he was doing. He goes, do me a favor, stick around. And I'm like, excuse me? And he goes, yes, yeah. Do me a favor, just stick around. And then he went back to what he was doing. So then I went to Devon like a kid in a candy store. Devon, I don't understand what he means. He just told me to stick around. That's all he said. He goes, well, Paul fucking tells you to stick around. Stick around. Yeah, but Devon, I don't want to. Angel, shut the fuck up. If he tells you to stick around, just fucking stick around. And then after that, I just kept coming to shows on my own dime and just making an appearance. And then they used me off and on to little spots here and there. And that's how I got my foot in the door.
So obviously he liked what he saw. He liked you. He thought like this guy might be good to keep bringing in, obviously, for ECW.
Man, if you see me without a shirt, of course you'll like what he saw. He was like, mucho macho. No, just kidding. Yeah, I guess. I don't know what was going through his mind. He had a vision. He saw something. Again, I'm not saying like, oh, I don't have the it factor. It's just, sometimes when some people see something from the outside, they see something. And he saw something. And I'm happy that he told me to stick around. I almost quit because I lost my job at the time, like months later, because I was just, my ex-wife used to get on me about basically, hey, all you do is go to these shows. You're not bringing any money. You're putting out more than what you're bringing in. Because I wasn't bringing in home nothing. I was spending like $100, $200 just to go on the road to wrestle. And of course, that's no bueno in the marriage life. And she was not having it. So then I lost my job. I got fired. And she goes, well, hey, bro, you can't be going. I'm not on my dime. She wasn't being mean, but it makes sense. You're not going to be going on traveling on my dime. So I called Devon. Hey, D, I got to quit. Why? I lost my job, man. I won't be able to get on the road. Dude, relax. Give me a few. I'll call you back. And then he called me back maybe like 3 hours later. And he goes, hey, I got you a job on Ring Crew. What the fuck? You want me to wipe your floors and and wax your back? So
Right.
But I mean, it was a job, it was an opportunity. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, ring crew. Oh man, I don't want to be on ring. I'm a wrestler. But I got on the ring crew. Tommy Dreamer told me, this is when you start paying your dues right here, kid. Fuck that shit that you did on the road and all these carnival shows. This is where it all starts right now. And then I was on the ring crew with Tony DeVito, and we just up and down the road, putting up the ring, taking down the ring, and doing matches.
Do you think that's definitely like a way in the door? Like, okay, I'm going to be in the ring crew, but eventually I'm going to get signed. I'm going to be a part of ECW, or that wasn't like an immediate thought?
No, yeah, absolutely. No, my mindset was like, this better fucking pay out, man. I'm fucking really putting my head in the fucking guillotine, because again, it was affecting my marriage at the time. But I mean, in my heart, I'm like, I had that faith. I really did. I mean, if it would have failed, I'd be like, oh, fuck. But no, I really had that faith, because everybody that was on ring crew got a spot. I mean, from Danny Doran, Roadkill, Bill Wiles, anybody that got on ring crew. Oh, Mikey Whipwreck. I mean, like stuff like that. Everybody got into that spot. So I was just crossing my fingers, like, yeah, just stay positive. And besides people bitching and moaning like DeVito and Bill Wiles, because, you once in your truck with three guys driving together shoulder to shoulder for 18 hours, you do get on each other's nerves, and then sharing the room and stuff like that. So it was a blessing. I'm happy I did it. Would I do it again? Fuck no. I'd rather eat glass and wipe my ass with razor blades before I fucking do that shit again. But I'm blessed that I did it.
What do you think about Tony DeVito at that point?
Fuck him. He's scum. No, just kidding. Tony DeVito, no, hell of a work. I mean, the guys from WWF, man, he was the go-to. He was not the Johnny Rods, but he was the guy they used all the time. I mean, DeVito's older than me by like a month, and I used to watch him when I was a kid. When you wrestle Scott Steiner and stuff. But he was always used. Him and Mike Bell. Mike Bell, I those two dudes were always on TV, always working. I never had that opportunity. But yeah, DeVito, hell of a worker. Awesome. Do not show him. Do not send him this video. I don't want to put him over like that. Right. But he's a good friend of mine. We joke around a lot, but he was a great partner, and I'm happy that he was part of the Baldies, with me.
So when you're doing the ring crew, how long is it before you kind of get on to the main roster, really, so to speak, with ECW? And when you're doing the main roster, are you still doing ring crew?
I'm trying to visualize it. I know we were doing November to Remember, because that's my first day on ring crew. I don't remember which one. I think it was. I'm trying to close my eyes and remember. I want to say the Dudleys were still there. So it was like 97. So, I remember that was my first day, November to Remember. And then I stayed on, looking at the timeline, probably a year, close to a year. And I was, when the Baldies was first formed, yes, I was still on ring crew, But then when Tommy's like, hey guys, guess what? We'll be flying you. Fuck yes. Nice. And I went to Bill Wiles. Fuck you. I quit. This week is my last week. Because he was the ring crew chief. So, you always wanted to tell your boss go fuck himself. So I was like, fuck you, Bill. I'm out. I quit. So then we, that's when everything started kicking off. It was the pay-per-view with New Jack. That's when I started flying.
So the Baldies, really. Who comes up with that? Whose idea is it? What is it? Like, what's the gimmick? And is that like Paulie's name that he decides to give to you guys? And who puts you together? Is this all Paulie's idea?
It was Paul and Tommy's idea, because we were in Michigan, if I remember correctly. I got the video on my YouTube. I saved it, but it was a match with Spike Dudley. And but before we did that, before we went out, he goes, hey guys, we need to talk. And he sat us down, and Paul just put his foot on the stool, and he goes, hey, I have this idea. You ever heard of the Fordham Baldies in the Bronx? And I looked at him like, nope. You never saw the Wanderers, the movie The Wanderers? And I'm like, nope. He goes, you wanted me to watch it. And then he's like, yeah, well, it was a tough street gang. They're all bald. They were just the most rugged street gang. We want you to do that. We want you, DeVito, Big Vito, Rod Price, at the time, Rod Price. I want to say PN News we made that appearance in there too, but regardless, PN News. And then we had the match. We attacked Spike, and then New Jack comes out, and he, of course, New Jack cleans house and drops the elbow on me from the top of the rafters, and then 1, 2, 3, and then of course that's when it took off. But it was really Paul and Tommy Dreamer's idea.
Did you like the Baldies, the name and the group?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, I was happy. I mean, it was the next level, for us that we were, because okay, I hate saying this, but Paul liked my style of wrestling because I was kind of like, because me and Devon are from the same school, so we had the same style. So when I got hit, I used to do the same type of kind of gyration, maybe a little tweak here and there, but it wasn't like I copied him. It was just part of our training that I did what I did. So Paul liked the fact that since the Dudleys were leaving, he thought that the Baldies were going to be the next Dudleys, and which one is impossible. But I understand his concept. They're leaving, and we need to replace another badass tag team.
Next man up. Yep.
Yeah, next man up, and this is going to be our next man up. So then we started doing that. So yeah, I really like the Baldies gimmick. Of course, it was in the beginning. You have to tweak certain things, but yeah, I mean, I have no complaints. I really enjoyed it. I was like, wow, especially doing the angles with New Jack. It was just a blessing.
What do you think about New Jack, just overall his character? Because he's got the music playing. He doesn't really bump a lot, but he's he could be a little stiff or a little snug. Did you enjoy working with New Jack?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny though. New Jack gets a bum rap. I understand all the stories from the dark side of the ring and all this stuff, and I understand. But me and Jack had a good relationship. He had a good relationship with DeVito. He had a good relationship with me. He didn't have a good relationship with Rick Grimes. But
Yeah.
I mean, I had a great relationship with Jack. We laughed, we joked around. I mean, he wasn't stiff because every time he hit me, okay, I hit him back. I gave him what he gave me. And even when he never hurt me. I mean, not on purpose. There was some little things that happened here and there, but of course it was not malicious and it was done intentional. It was just accidental, and I just brushed it off as part of the business. And he understood that. And like I said, I mean, I seen him get wild and crazy on people, like, me sitting there go, what the fuck is going on over there? But when he sat with me, we just laughed and joked around, and he goes, sure. He asked me, what I want to do. And I'm like, nah, Jack, you're the vet. What do you want to do? But again, as the time went on, I guess when I was here, the Baldies little by little, and he just gave me a little more and said, no, whatever you want to do, just tell me. Oh, I have this idea. What do you think? Oh, it's a great idea. You sure? Because I still was showing him respect. But like I said, I love being around Jack. I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. In the beginning, I was like, man, this guy's just hard, gonna kill me, and I'm just gonna get bleeding all the time. But I have no regrets. It was just, Jack was an awesome dude.
When he's jumping off the rafters, it's funny, people always remember that, but you got to remember the person underneath, the victim. They're taking this crazy bump. What was it like feeling that, him coming from 100 feet high, splashing you?
Oh, the first time he fell on me was at pay-per-view in Buffalo. And he climbed up on took the ladder, put it on the basketball. It was a basketball backboard. And of course, they put the ECW banner on it. And he climbed up. And I'm not lying to you. I looked up, just seeing, because that's all I kept looking at. I'm laying there, and I just see him climb up the ladder. I get that deep breath coming out. Then he's getting up there. Oh, shit. Because, it's like that Jaws thing, like it's just building up, and then he's up there and he's like pounding his chest and he's doing this. I'm like, motherfucker, And when he dove, I sucked it in and boom, explosion. And I'm like, and I shake, didn't feel him, man. The guy took care of me, and I was like, wow, I didn't even feel him, And I mean, the reason Jack was so fucked up is because he was protecting us, because he took a lot of the blow of the impact to protect me or whoever he was with. But for me, we were wrestling at the Zuma Beach Club, and he did the same thing. He laid me on you ever go into a bar and they have like that metal bin that you use to like feed cows and stuff, and you put beer in it, and they had a wooden lid on it, and he put the wooden lid and he laid me, and he climbed all the way up in this bar, up into the balconies. And I'm looking like, he can't fucking make it, because the distance, the dive was just too far. I'm like, he ain't gonna fucking make it. I'm just laying there, and he just dove, and it literally took the whole thing to the hip, just bam, but didn't feel a thing. Like he protected me, and I'm like, and then he was limping that night. That's why he had a. I'm not saying that's the cause of it, but I mean, all those years of doing that, that's why you notice him. He was always limping because of the pounding on the hip.
I remember working with him. I brought him in for like an autograph signing. It was just so funny. Like in front of everybody for the picture, I go to take a picture. Gets this huge knife out. He puts it like to my throat. Like all in gimmick and stuff. And then away from everybody, you're private with him. He's totally like normal and cool. So it's like, man, he's so cool, but like crazy like a fox. Like he's got to keep kayfabe. And then you can talk business when the fans aren't around. But I just thought it was so funny. I'm just like, la da da da, being like, like, oh, I'm going to take a picture of New Jack. And he brings out this gigantic knife and he puts up. So I throw it. I still have the picture. It's like a great picture. But I was like, man, he's so funny. But like that Terry Funk thing, crazy like a fox.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So you brought New Jack in for autograph signing?
A couple years ago, yeah, down in Virginia. Yep.
That's okay. You never brought me for an autograph signing, but that's a different story.
I got to start doing them again.
No, that's okay.
A couple years ago.
Just messing with you. But yeah, man, I mean, like I said, Jack, there was two sides of Jack, my opinion. And it was a nice guy that always treated me right. Yeah, he lost his temper with Vic Grimes, but that was a different story. And of course, I was just like, hey, that's on you. But he was always treating me good. Everybody else he had issues with, I mean, either they brought it on to themselves or they just didn't keep their mouth shut. Me, I was just a soldier, and I just did what I was told and did my job because I wanted to make money and move up the ladder in ECW.
So many guys say about him, like, man, his reputation. Like even Jim Ross was like, man, in WWE when they were like looking at ECW guys, like, man, this guy's got such a reputation. They even fall for the work of New Jack. I mean, it's like Bruiser Brody. People are like, oh, he's a killer. He's such a tough guy, but it's a lot of the persona, it's a lot of the gimmick. So that's one thing. New Jack was able to keep kayfabe within guys in the business, which is a good thing to a certain point.
Yeah, but Jack always beat to his own drum, and he didn't like bite his tongue on anybody. Also, too, and especially in this business. So I don't think, he even said Vince would never be able to hold them. Like he spoke his mind. And sometimes speaking your mind is either a good thing or a bad thing. It might be beneficial or it might bite you in the ass. I'm not saying to bit him in the ass, but those are that's the teeter-totter. That's the scales of justice. The balance. So I really don't know. So.
Because it's funny, they bring in Sabu and Sandman, who have equally crazy reputations, but like New Jack, I don't know about New Jack. He's a little too crazy.
Yeah, but Hack and Sandman and Sabu, I never seen them like lose their top. Like boom, like get really like those. I mean, Jack has a story behind him. All from the mass transit to. To the guy from Florida. I mean, there's just tons and tons and tons of stuff. Gypsy Joe and all that stuff. But in my eyes, I'm like, oh, okay, never did that to me. But again, if they would have got to know him, it's just that if they would have got to know him, they would have just known that he was a good guy and he would have worked with them. I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, yeah, if you did him wrong, he's going to speak his mind and say, hey, you owe me money or you're not taking care of me. But I think he would have been easygoing if they would have just given him a chance.
So you guys have this King of the Streets feud, and obviously New Jack and the Baldies had this history. What do you think about just that in general? Was that good for ECW to have that feud, or is that kind of like almost old school booking to a certain point where it's like, you know what I mean? It just seemed like it wasn't almost like an 80s style, like kind of like who's the King of the Streets kind of feud.
Oh yeah, I mean, I loved it. I mean, when I was, got the Monarchy King of the Streets during that time at the ECW arena, I was like, wow, cool. Jack is literally not passing the torch, but he's giving me there was, like an opportunity to carry that.
Giving you a rub,
then, I mean, give me a rub, give me a rep, and as a badass character, and King of the Streets. I mean, I remember Joe Gertner's like, now Angel's King of the Streets. I mean, it really became like. Cool. I wish there was a title. I wish I was able to have some money and build like almost the FTW title, like just walk around with the King of the Streets title.
Yeah,
that would have been cool, black and white and stuff like that. But oh yeah, dude, I was stoked, man. It was a good angle. I mean, I loved it. It was old school. It had the drama, it had the action, it had the suspense, and also the cliffhanger at the end. It was just like they didn't think I was gonna like do what I did, and people like gasp. and it was just awesome because they wasn't expecting it. So it was an old school swerve.
What did you think about just your run in ECW? Like, did you get where you wanted to get? Did you expect to be higher in the card? Like, what did you think overall on your run in ECW?
Well, little by little, yeah, the Baldies were moving up quick. Because I mean, this is the story. I don't, I don't know the this was told to us, but again, what is true, what is not true. But per at the time, I think it was Tommy that Danny Jordan and Roadkill had the titles. If you watch one of the pay-per-views, I can't remember which one, but it was one of the Massacre, the New York one, either the second to last or the last. But when the Baldies was fading Just Incredible and Steve Corino outside the ring, I forgot who was in the ring, but we were fighting each other to the back. So the story was that the PJ, Just Incredible, and Steve Corino were going to be the new Impact players. So supposedly, the Baldies were supposed to beat Danny Jordan and Roadkill for the titles, and then we were going to do an angle with Corino and Just Incredible, and of course they were going to win the titles from us. So that right there was telling us like we were moving, so like getting our spot in the top of the card as main eventers.
Yeah, moving on up. How come it didn't happen? Is this because the ECW is kind of on its way out, really?
Because I was black and he didn't want to use me. No, just kidding. But I think I think it's because I was on his way out, man. You know what? This is the thing. This is one thing. Angel never bitched. I never griped. I said Johnny Raj trained us to be soldiers and respect the business. And I'm not saying nobody. I mean, I'm just talking about me. I'm not saying nobody else respects the business. I'm just talking about myself and Vito and anybody from Gleason's. When we were not getting paid, it was at Hammerstein Ballroom. I remember RVD was like, I am not wrestling until I get paid the money that I was missing. So Paul paid him. And of course, a lot of people were griping because we're like, yo, what the fuck? I understand he's Rob Van Dam, and I'm not knocking Rob. He has to get his money. I totally understand, but I'm just telling you what happened. People were totally upset. So then I remember that Corino was like, I want my fucking money. If I don't get my money, I'm going to drop the title on the indies. Like he was like kind of like doing the Ultimate Warrior, like kind of like strong arming Paul. And again, none of my business. That's Corino's thing, and it is what it is. And then that's what came back to me. So I went upstairs, and there was a line of wrestlers to go in the room with Paul. So my thought process was like, look, everybody's going in there to bitch. Look, motherfucker, I want my money, this and that, fuck you, all this bullshit. So when I went in there, I could see Paul looking at me like, here's another tongue lashing again from one of my things. And I said, straight shoot. I sat down, I turned the chair around, I sat down, I said, Paul, I want to let you know that I'm going to ride with you to the end. I don't want to be a headache. I want you to know I'm going to ride with you. I know people are leaving, going to other organizations. I want to go down with you. I want to show you that I'm a team player. I want to show you that I want to be one of your top guys. So I just want to let you know, I'm here, And he's like, hey, thank you. And he hugged me, and that was it. Because I figured, okay, if everybody's chipping their teeth, maybe the guy who's like, hey man, I'm with you, brother, that he'll be like, oh, you motherfuckers are trying to fucking choke me and hang me out to dry, or hang me like with the torches like a Frankenstein and outside the castle. And then this guy right here didn't bitch and moan, and he said he was gonna, he trusts me. So I figured that would, help me. Man, you can see everybody's jumping ship like that Titanic, just like Jack was saying. Everybody's like, hey, Paul's gonna save us. He's coming with that boat. And then like giant shark comes and grabs one, and there goes one of the guys. And then the shark pulls on. It was like the Indianapolis when back in the World War II when they fucking were eaten up by sharks. Basically, I mean, people were jumping ship because they knew that it was troubled times. But we all had hope. And Paul was the type of guy that like he could move mountains with his words. I mean, Bubba always told me this that always stuck with me to this day. He goes, you ever watch Devil's Advocate, Angel? And I said, yeah, I saw that movie. He goes, watch it again. And when Al Pacino, that's Paul Heyman. And I go, okay. And I still got that movie in my collection over there, Devil's Advocate. Because
Great
and then
movie.
I watch it, and then when you watch it, and seriously, when you get that put in your head like that's Paul Heyman, then you're like, let me watch this motherfucker again. And you sit there, not watching the movie, just watching Al Pacino and how he talks and all that shit. And you go, motherfucker. That's fucking Paul Heyman right there to a T. Watch the movie now after I told you that, and just really just focus on him, not the movie, and you'll see like I see what they're talking about. You know.
There was another thing. It was from the movie, The Network. PJ, just incredible, told me to watch. I've seen it before, but he told me to watch some speech, and he's like, Paul used to literally take that speech. I forget what it was. Damn, I forget what it. But you could see Paul making a speech. He said Paul would like say that speech or whatever, and he's like, no one really pick up on it, but he would take stuff from movies and say it in like inspirational speeches backstage to the guys to try to get everybody like on his side and be like all like Newt Rockney kind of like get everybody pumped. But he was saying like, man, he's like he was taking stuff from movies, but you didn't really care. You almost like got engrossed in it, and you're like, yeah, Paul, I'm with you, Paul. Yeah,
that motherfucker, man. Put it this way: that motherfucker was like Leonidas in 300 Spartans. You know how many warriors we have. You know, that's how, I mean, that's how he got into our head. Now, The Network, is that the movie from the 70s? The guy who like, I'm not gonna take that go out the window and not gonna take it anymore. I never saw that movie.
Yep, pretty good movie.
You know, but I remember that clip, like, just go outside your window and scream and say you're not gonna take it anymore or some shit like that. It was like 70s, 80s, I think.
Yep.
I'm gonna look at him now. I gotta look it up. Yeah.
But Paul, I guess, known for those rah-rah speeches. What did you think of Paul? Because I accessed all the ECW guys. Genius, not a genius.
Fucking genius, man. What? Okay, whatever personal feelings I have towards him, which I'm not mad at him. If he would have been honest with us, I'm being honest with you. If he would have said, "Look, Angel," because he gave me my opportunity. He was the one that gave me the opportunity that nobody would have given me. Vince, Bischoff, none of them. I was in a situation where he gave me my opportunity. If the motherfucker came up to me and said, "Look, Angel, fuck, we're broke. It's done. It's over. If you want to continue doing the shows, I appreciate it. I'll remember it. But it's gonna end." I know me. I would have been like, okay, if you're being 100% honest with me and shooting from the hip, then I'm sticking with you to the end. You know, and just remember me. You know, just remember me, motherfucker. Wherever you go, just remember me. And that was it. I mean, I would have took it like that. But yeah, fucking genius, man. The guy has a fucking mind for the business. Can't take that away from him. I mean, to this day, he sees me and he gives me a big hug. But I'm like, I'm not being mean, but when the thing is, when you learn things from your other, I'll give you a good example. Mm-hmm. Tony DeVito, after ECW, DeVito was working a regular job like everybody else, trying to make ends meet. DeVito bumps into him at a grocery store. Literally bumps into him. Paul's like, bro, hugs him. How you doing? How's everything? Oh, you looking great, man. You still lifting and all that bullshit.
Yep.
DeVito's like, yeah, you know, I'm good. DeVito, do me a favor. Here, call me. You know, anytime, call me. Okay, I'll definitely call you. So DeVito puts the paper in his, like, he's like, literally, Paul's walking away to the register. DeVito has the paper. He's about to put it, and he goes, opens it up, takes out his cell phone. The number you have reached has been temporarily disconnected. You know, and he's like, and it goes into like that busy signal, and he just looks up and looks at Paul at the register, and Paul's like, and he's just like, motherfucker. So, I mean, that's just a fun, that right there. So you have to take him with a grain of salt. I love Paul. I separate my feelings, business from feelings. I like him. He, like I say, gave me my opportunity. I'm thankful for him. I'm blessed. But as the joke of the thing is like, fuck yeah, you know, he still owes me money and all this bullshit. It's just another part of history that people ask me, and I'm like, and I just make jokes about it. Like, yeah, motherfucker owes me money, man, you know, and stuff. But it's what it is, man. What can you do?
It's crazy. Big Sal was saying how Paul like swore to him he was going to have a job with him no matter what happened. He doesn't care if he had to work like at his house. He was going to be doing something with him. He was going to work for him. As soon as ECW closed, he goes, didn't hear from him ever, not ever again, but like didn't hear from him. Like, Paul, I thought I was working for you forever. I thought I'd be even working at your house doing groundskeeping. Just flat out lied.
The funny thing is that we did a show in Buffalo, New York. I forgot what kind of show it was, but it was Sal. I mean, it was everybody was there. C.W. Anderson. I remember Tommy was there, and Sabu was there. It was just the whole ECW locker room. It was like basically the last hurrah after that last hurrah.
Right.
And Paul was there. And
Wow.
so Paul said, I'm going to Connecticut, and I'm not leaving until I get a deal. And we're at the airport, and he gets on the plane, and and we're like, yeah, he's our advocate. He's gonna take, just like he says, I'm the advocate. He went, and he shows up on Monday Night Raw, and that was it. It's just, that was it. We still had hope, thinking that, what was going to happen. And the funny thing is that after that thing, I was trying to go to Puerto Rico, and I was working with Victor Quinones to strike a deal. Victor Quinones told me to come down to Madison Square Garden so we could finish talking about, opportunity to come down to Puerto Rico. So then when I went down there, I mean, not lying to you, as soon as Paul turned the corner, he goes, Angel, brother, how you doing? And he goes, what are you doing here? And I said, well, Victor, I'm doing a deal with Victor to go down to IWA to wrestle. And he goes, I know. I was talking to him about it. No, he wasn't fucking saying he knew about it, because I mentioned it. And he's like, I know. I was just talking about him. I was putting you over, telling him that, you'll be a great asset. I told you I'll take care of you. Bruh. I was like, this guy's working me. And I just smiled like, don't worry, Paul. It's all good. And then I went to Puerto Rico and wrestled down there, which I loved. I just had that issue with Dutch Mantell. So fuck him.
Before we get back to that, I just want to mention, though, the Heyman thing. So were you in Pine Bluff like for the last ever show?
No. You know why I wasn't in Pine Bluff? Because finally I decided, I'm not lying to you. DeVito calls me, goes, hey, bro, are you going to go down? Because they're not flying nobody. Technically, everybody's basically driving. So I'm like, nah, man, I'm going to put my foot down on this one. I'm not going. I'm not going. I'm owed all this money. I have no money to give. I really didn't. I had nothing to give to go on the road. I had money, but you know what I mean? I was like, dude, I'm tired of, if I had $3,000, like $5,000, since I've been going to the shows, I've been chipping away on that money. So basically whatever I had left, I'm like, I'm still chipping away at my finances. I'm not going. It's just not right. I have to make a stand eventually. So I regret not going. I really, really wish I would have went. But I just wanted to put my foot down. I just wanted to make a stand for something, for once.
Did you see like the writing on the wall as far as it closing, or did you think that he was going to come through last second with something and save it?
No, I really thought it was going to be a last second and save it. I mean, look at TNA. Look at the same thing. It's almost basically a mirror image, but they're surviving. They strived. I could visually see ECW, because there was times where TNA was going to like go belly up and then somebody picked it up. But just same thing. It was just, I just figured that would have been ECW. That would have happened. Now, the story was, I don't know if it's fact or fiction, but when Vince bought WCW, that supposedly, I don't know how true it was, but remember that Shane was going to be in charge, of WCW. That's the little storyline. Well, that ECW was basically going to take over WCW, kind of like do the invasion angle there, and then like just take over, and then that would have been the new ECW, supposedly. But I don't know if that was true or not.
Who knows? Yeah, you never know with all those guys and the promises, because they were saying WCW was going to do something, and then they just evaporated it basically.
Oh fuck yeah! It was like, it was done, man. But I would have definitely went down there for that paycheck, man, because I heard they were just throwing money like it was they were printing it. I would have loved to have a taste of that, because I love to save. I'm a saver. I invest my money. So if I would have had the opportunity, let's say I was $200,000, I would have just took that money, invest. I would have been like, I would have had a monocle. I would have been like the fucking Monopoly guy, but brown. I would have liked to look like the Platter's peanut because I'm so dark.
So you weren't shocked that Paul showed, like after ECW closes, obviously, you weren't shocked that he showed up on WWF TV?
Yeah, I was shocked because he was supposed to be going there to do business for us. but when he showed up on TV, I was like fucking high spot. So, yeah, I was shocked because I expected something else. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't expect it.
And I talked to a couple of guys. They were surprised to see him in rollerball because he was supposed to be going somewhere to be saving ECW. So what's the story behind the rollerball thing? Because I've heard so many different stories about that.
That story, what I heard, he was going to go to California and negotiate a deal with a company. And he said, I'm not fucking leaving that fucking boardroom until I fucking walk out with a deal. And he didn't tell me personally, like to my face. This is like the locker room, like, hey man, this is what I heard. I heard he's gonna stay up there, literally. It's not like, he was telling the whole crew. It's just that, telephone, telegram, tell a wrestler, once the other boys heard about it, we found out through the grapevine. And of course that was just a lie because he was just up there filming rollerball and stuff.
Crazy. And I know this story has gotten like blown up too, that he was getting paid by Vince since 95. Somebody said 50,000 a month. No, it was supposedly 50 or 60,000 a year, which is still pretty damn good money just to like basically be a feeder. And if you watch TV and stuff, he wasn't always a feeder because WCW would get some of these W guys, but he would always be bad mouthing the WWF and Vince. So it was like, wow, that's kind of a ballsy thing, but supposedly he was getting paid the whole time.
Yeah, but you never know if he was just working the angle to just give the illusion that he was, like, oh, F this, F that, and all that stuff. And again, I never heard that. And again, and even if it was, I couldn't prove it. I mean, we were like the minor leagues basically or the camp where everybody goes to train, because that's how Vic Grimes got there. He came from WWE. I mean, Kurt Angle came down to do some stuff. I mean, there was guys. I mean, Al Snow came down and went up. After he left Leaf Cassidy, came down, did the head in Al Snow, and then went back to WWE. I mean, it was just like that, So I believe it. It's just like it's hard to prove. So with 50,000 a month, wow, that would have been awesome.
Yeah, that sounds crazy. But I was hearing from somebody else that supposedly was 50,000 for the year, which is, especially that period, very good money just to basically supposedly feed guys to Vince. I mean, he didn't really have to do much.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, if I wish he would have fed me to Vince, I would have fucking, definitely would have loved to get an opportunity to have a run up in WWE at the time, especially during that was like fucking Attitude Era. So I would have been fucking like picking shit. But
any opportunity there ever to go there?
You know what's funny? This is the story. So remember when I forgot when Davari was the manager for the. Oh my God, not like Muhammad Hassan. Thank you, Muhammad Hassan. So when I left Puerto Rico, when I got pissed the fuck off and I left after September 11th, I just fell off the grid. I just needed a break. So of course, we had the internet, but it's not how social media is, Facebook and able to get a hold of me. So story is that Tommy brought my name up because they needed a bodyguard for him, like this, like almost a standing behind him type of BS. And I could have definitely passed for that gimmick. So but they couldn't find me, and so it just never happened. And then of course the September 11th thing or whatever, I guess it kind of like killed his gimmick because of they was trying to stay away from that after the towers fell.
So what happened down in Puerto Rico? What happened with you and Dutch?
Fuck that motherfucker. You can send him a copy of this tape too. You know what's funny though? In this business, there's the difference between heat, like disrespectful heat, or you stood up for your rights and you still get heat. And I'll tell you the fucking story because I don't give two shits. So again, I'm a soldier, but I was bitter. I was bitter because of ECW. And I'm like, fuck this. I'm not going to let nobody fucking walk all over me ever. But I still was respectful. I bit my tongue. I just didn't want nobody to test the waters. So when I got to Puerto Rico, they told me, Victor, the deal with Victor was like, I said, Victor, I got no place to stay. Don't worry. I got a condo in Isla Verde. You can stay there as long as you want. Don't worry about a car. You got a ride. So you're good. And this is how much you're getting paid. Okay, bet. So I went down there, did my gimmick. They changed my name because there was another angel there. So they called me the New Yorican Baldie, which I fucking hated, but I accepted it. Okay, I'll work the gimmick, you know. And so then I did my job. I worked, I grind, I was a soldier. So one day I was sharing a room with Lobo and this kid named Anarchy. He was like the young boy in Puerto Rico, and he lived in the closet. Literally like R. Kelly, living in a fucking walk-in closet, because the only reason I knew about that is when I first got there, he opened the door and I see this head stick out, and then he comes in and I ask Lobo, who the fuck is that? He goes, oh, that's Anarchy. He's one of the trainee guys, and he lives in the closet. Come on, really? Are you serious? When I opened the door, he literally had a twin bed in the closet by the wall with a little milk crate with a TV on it in the closet.
Weird.
You can't fucking write this. You can't make that shit up, brother. I mean, I was just like, okay, whatever. If he wants to stay in the closet, that's fine. So it was us. We were all staying there. Anyway, the short story was, I was watching one of the VHS tapes, and people out there, that was how we used to watch our matches on VHS tape. And I was watching my matches upstairs. So Anarchy brought this girl over, and they went into the back room. I knew what was going to happen, but of course he went into the closet. That's kind of hard to put up with a chick.
Yeah.
But anyway, he went in the room with the girl. So I'm watching my matches, and Dutch comes in. He asks me, hey, I have a question. Have you seen Anarchy? And I'm like, and I'm one of those guys, I don't stooge out the boys. I don't snitch. So I'm like, nah, I haven't seen him. I just been up here watching I came up here, sat down and watched my tapes. So he was literally walking away, like literally about to walk out the door, because we were living with Dutch in that apartment. He stops. He must have heard something, because I didn't hear nothing. He just stops at the door. He turns to that direction and walks to the back. Maybe like less than 3 minutes, he comes back out and he points to me and he goes, you need to fucking get that girl out of here. I don't want to fucking see that girl here. And I'm like, the fuck? That's my fucking responsibility. This is all in my head. Like, he's a grown ass man. That's him and his girl. Whatever. Right. So I was like, whatever. And I continued watching my tape. So I went downstairs to check my emails on the computer. So when I went down, Victor had an office on the second floor that did all the production work. And they had a computer there that you were able to facilitate to like check your emails, send out emails, so on and so forth. So I went down there. When I went through the front door, the office, the bedrooms were turned into offices. And one of the offices was Victor Quinones, Savio Vega, Dutch Mantell, talking about something. So I went, checked my email, finished up, and I was walking out. The motherfucker literally walked up behind me, grabbed me by my arm, spun me around, but nothing forced me, just enough to like say, hey, I need to talk to you. And he points his finger in my face and he goes, look, motherfucker, the next time I fucking tell you where's so-and-so, you fucking tell me. If not, you find yourself back in fucking New York wrestling in the fucking indie circuit. So he started walking away and I grabbed him and I said, first of all, motherfucker, don't you ever fucking point your finger in my fucking face again. I will snap it in a heartbeat. Don't ever disrespect me. I don't care who the fuck you are. And it was not my fault that the guy brought another chick in the room. I'm not his fucking keeper. Fuck you. And but since he was an old school, Midwest, back in the days, he was like, how dare he talk to me that way? But fuck that, man. I'm from ECW. I earned my stripes. I earned my respect. I respect you for what you did in the business, but don't think you can walk all over me. So anyway, basically, long story short, after that happened, after that incident, I told Victor, I said, what the fuck is this problem? And I told him the story. And he goes, oh, he's the booker. It is what it is. Okay, fine, whatever. A week later, hey, Angel, this is Dutch. Hey, you won't be able to stay at this apartment anymore. Because we have to make the room for the next guy. And I think it was Abyss coming at the time. We got the next guy coming. We need the space for him. So you got to find another place to stay. Okay. Which I'm Puerto Rican. I got family out there. So, okay. I got you. Then he pulled another high spot. Hey, Angel, you won't be able to get rides to the show anymore. You need to figure something out. Because we need that space for the other wrestler. So what he did was he's like, all right, motherfucker. He was pulling his card because I fucking talk shit. And that's what happened. Anyway, I got pissed off. Fuck it. I left Puerto Rico. Fuck it. I'm on vacation. I'm out. And I left. Fuck it. I left it as is. So this is the caveat of the story. Homicide calls me from TNA years later, calls me from TNA and said, hey, I got this gimmick. It's called LAX. You'll be perfect for it. is between you and a guy named Hernandez. But I want you. I really want you. Devon was fighting for me. Everybody was like, Terry Taylor. I met Terry Taylor. He was like, I want this guy. Guess who was the fucking booker there at the time?
Dirty Dutch.
Dirty Dutch. When my fucking name came across the table, he was like, fuck that motherfucker. I don't want him. But why? What's going on with Angel? I even spoke to Devon. He goes, dude, what the fuck happened with you and him? And I told him the story. And he's like, yeah, he's fucking burying you. He's like, he don't want you here. It's not going to happen. Oh, fuck it. And that was it. And to this day, fuck him. I mean, literally, I will walk on his grave and tap dance. I mean, I can't stand the guy. Not because of that. It's because everybody keeps saying, oh, well, you got heat with Dutch. How the fuck do I have heat with Dutch if he was the one disrespecting me? Just because I stood up for my rights and stood up for my ground, you're mad because I did that and I have heat with you? How the fuck is that? Fuck that. Nah, there's a difference. So that's why I say fuck him.
Nice. Gotcha. Hey, you got to stand up for yourself. No doubt about that.
Stand up for your rights, man. I mean, it's not right. In this business, sometimes I learned that, there's a lot of people that walk all over you and you have to eat it. And again, this is the first time in my life that I stood up for myself. I mean, in this business, because I was raised, yes, sir, anything you say, boss, I got you. I'll do whatever I was told. And I did. But that was the only thing. That was the only time I said, nah, fuck that. I'm standing my ground. And that's what happened.
So as we hit the wind down and head towards the finish, after your wrestling career, you became a police officer? You became a cop?
Yeah, I became a Wichita police officer because there was nothing else happening during the time there was no wrestling after the September 11th. I mean, you remember it was just very difficult to get a spot. WCW was all in WWE. I mean, he already had everybody he wanted. RH was, I think it was kicking off, but I was not really familiar with it at the time. So I said, I have to make a living. So I decided to become a cop. And I did that for 7 years. And then I became a correction officer. Then became a cop again. And then I became a private investigator and like a bounty hunter and a bodyguard. And then after that, I got burned out and I just got like a regular, like a 9-to-5 job. Kind of still doing like law enforcement stuff, like compliance and fraud investigation. But, because of fucking September 11th, straight shoot. When the fucking towers, I left Puerto Rico September 17th. The reason, of course, the towers fell. I already booked that flight way before the towers fell. So my buddy in Kansas, he was a worker, he was a wrestler. He lived out here. And he said, hey, man, he was looking for me and he thought I was still in New York. When he finally got a hold of me, I said, no, I'm in Puerto Rico. I'm flying out next week. And he said, brother, why don't you just come over here and hang out for a little bit? We'll have a couple beers. You stay at my house and let things cool off in New York. You just don't know what's going on, which you know how it was. So then I'm like, okay. So I hung out with him. And then I'm like, oh, my God, how much you make an hour? He told me how much. And this is your house. He was living not high on the hog, but like really good for the money he was making. So I said, fuck it. I'll just stay. And I stayed. That's how I ended. So technically, I ended up in Kansas by accident because if it wasn't for September 11th, I would have ended up in New York, back in New York, because that was my flight. I would have ended up over there. And then, put it this way, I'm making a joke about it. Then it would have been me and DeVito as the Carnage crew, would have kicked out Loke, and he would have been carrying my bags and making me sandwiches and cutting the crust off.
Could have been ROH tag champ with DeVito.
I know, man. Absolutely. Baldies back together. Nah, Loke is a cool dude. I'm happy he got a spot in that.
I love the Carnage crew. They're great.
Not better than the Baldies, but they were okay.
Yeah. For Ring of Honor, they're good. With you though, I mean, you seem like you're like Dr. D. David Schultz. You become like a bounty hunter after wrestling. You doing?
Well, after wrestling, I mean, the police thing, I got, I always wanted to be a cop, and I got that skill, and I got. After a while, 7 years of law enforcement, then went to the correctional, then went back to the police department. That's all I knew is law enforcement. So I just did the private investigation and bounty, but it was not like in the movies. I wasn't kicking in doors. It's more of like, this Mr. here, I got his papers, and it was not like how it was kicking doors and stuff. But you did have to go after some guys, and it was easy. But I was like, nah, it's not. Not saying it wasn't for me. I just said it doesn't have benefits. I'm making money, but now no money. So I said, nah, I quit. So,
Any regrets from the wrestling business?
Besides tagging with DeVito? No, man. No, I don't regret nothing. It's a blessing, man. I made great friends. Look, I met Russo. There's always a silver lining in all this stuff, man. I'm not trying to make it like all, rainbows and sunshine, but I mean, yeah, I had my ups and downs, but trust me, there's a lot of guys in this business that have a lot of downs with, bad habits and dying and stuff like that. I'm blessed because I'm still kicking strong. I still work out. I still look good. I mean, I have other ventures that I'm doing. I'm still connected with the wrestling business with my friends. And I have no regrets, man. Yeah, should I done certain things maybe differently? Come on, dude, that's anything. If Woody would have went to the police, none of this would have happened. Philosophy. Um, yeah, I mean, you could armchair quarterback your whole life and say, well, if I would have turned left instead of right, would it have been different? Would I went back to New York on September 17th? Would have been in ROH? Like shit like that. I mean, could have, would have, should have. I have no regrets.
So with you, and obviously you got the podcast, get the NWA network going on. MWA, excuse me, NWA network.
MWA.
Yeah, and I'm thinking NWA, Flair and Steamboat here for a second, but MWA.
Yeah.
So just kind of recap, what's been going on? What do you got coming up for MWA?
Well, I mean, like I said, I have Killing the Business. That's my favorite show because I just cut loose and just speak the Kingpin's mind along with King Mega and Glenn Sexton. Then I got a Funkin' Kingpin, which is freaking funny. We're still getting our feet wet, but because we're trying to feel each other out. But it's just going to get funnier with Kwee Wee, Alan Funk. So that's another podcast, and I got Wrestling with Tragedy, which is it's my baby because that's the first podcast I did talking about the travesties. Almost we're like the first Dark Side of the Ring because we were before they came on TV. We started that. Of course, that's not where they stole it from. It's just we were doing it at the time,
right?
And we got on with Russo, and that's a blessing because Wrestling with Tragedy kicked off, and then of course when we started building the MWA podcast network with Pierce Austin, who is the one of the owners. I'm one of the owners, and Charles Redmond, he's one of the owners, and we're just building this podcast. We just wanted our own network, and then we pitched it to Russo, and Russo's like, "Hey, that's a great idea," and he just brought us aboard with his Realm network, which is another blessing with dealing with Russo, which everything is awesome, So I'm excited, man. I'm going to be making your type of money. I'm going to have beautiful women massaging my feet with olive oil and feeding me grapes.
Hey, I would love that too. I mean, that sounds great to me.
I'm just trying to like, I don't want to be that Randy the Ram doing shows at school shows, which is nothing wrong. I mean, nothing wrong to make an appearance, but I just look at myself, fuck, I'm going to be 50. So every wrestler that I know is just transitioning to podcasting, movies, other things that since they still have that celebrity status, why not benefit from it and do their own thing, other things. And I want to do that. I want to do podcasting.
Definitely. So where can everybody find you? Your social media and obviously MWA and everything. Where can everybody get you?
Well, definitely you could go to MWA Podcast Network. Definitely check that out. You definitely find me there. It's on Facebook. And we also have Instagram and Twitter. But me, it's, you can find me online, Angel Medina Jr., Facebook, ECW King Baldie Angel on Twitter, and AA.Medina 262 on Instagram. I'm easily accessible, and stuff like that. I'm easily to be found. I don't hide. But again, if you definitely want to get a hold of me, definitely just follow me on the MWA Podcast Network, and you definitely get all those 3 shows and then some. With like I said, Nights of the Gimmick Table. I mean, there's so many shows. Shooting the Shit with Pierce Austin. Definitely, just a lot of shows out there. You could definitely benefit on the MWA Podcast Network.
Awesome stuff, Kingpin. Thank you so much for all the time today. Really appreciate it.
Well, no, thank you for having me on, man. I mean, I hope one day you bring me on again. Maybe we could chop it up and talk about other stuff. Maybe bring DeVito and just we could talk about how I molded his career.
All right, hey, let's bring him in. Let's do a Baldies reunion. Let's do it.
Well, we just got to get a stool for him so he could, see in this camera.
Ouch, yes.
Hey, but thank you for having me on, man. Thank you. It was an honor and a pleasure.